You planning your professional development for this year? Well, this week on the podcast, I have Zoe, and I went to Tenterfield and did some workshops for their staff, and it was just amazing. I would love to come to your school to do PD this year, or you can join me for live virtual workshops where you can Zoom in from anywhere. And I have face to face workshops coming up, so keep an eye out if I'm coming near you. Or if you prefer to learn online on demand, you can do that too. I've got you covered. There are so many ways we can learn together. Now, if you enjoy this podcast, I know you're going to enjoy learning with me in any of those formats. But make sure you plan and book in now. Check out my website for what's coming up, because there is nothing worse than hearing about a workshop after I've been to Coffs Harbour or Melbourne or Sydney. So check it out. Hope to see you soon. And if you want me to come to you, just contact me like I did going to Tenterfield to Zoe and her school. Hope you enjoyed this podcast. Zoe is full with so much energy and excitement for all that her students are doing. This summer series has been an absolute delight to have so many interesting people share on the podcast, everything from parents to specialist teachers to Zoe sharing their program. Next week, I have a parent talking about ADHD, and I hope you've enjoyed the summer series. Well, welcome everybody. I am so excited to have Zoe on the podcast today. So welcome, Zoe.
Thank you. Hello.
So Zoe reached out to me because I sent her email out about post-school options and transitioning to work. And she reached out and said, Sue, I have to tell you all the great stuff we're doing in our school. And I was like, absolutely. And can you come on my podcast and share? So thank you for agreeing to come on and sharing. So tell us about what you're doing in your beautiful class and so forth.
Yeah, well, I'm so lucky. I have the senior MC class at our school. So year 11, year 12. Occasionally there's a year 10 student in there. And at the beginning of last year, or maybe the year before, I've lost track, then I was given the option to come up with a program for Wednesday, because on a Wednesdays, our senior students have a study day, and they sometimes go and do TAFE courses or other courses outside of the school. So for my students, because they weren't needing to study or do exams or assessment tasks, I sort of had free rein to be able to come up with a program that I thought could help them with independent living and working skills, which is ultimately what I called it. And I spent a bit of time deliberating over how I would do it. And I decided to break the school year into 4 terms and to have a specific unit each term. And then I also thought, I didn't want to have to reinvent the wheel completely. And I'd read The Barefoot Investor, and I thought, this Barefoot Kids book, this will be great to base it on, because then they get financial literacy. And so that was sort of where my brain went to for a little while. And I then decided that the first term we would do fundraising. And so that was important because we needed funds to be able to do some of the ideas that I had. And then the next term we did community work. And that was trying to get us out there in the community and just get involved in things with the Lions Club or the seniors, or just something where people would get to know us. The third term was like work experience or volunteer work, but work experience with the idea that they would come up with something that they would like to do job-wise, or at least enjoy volunteering. And then our fourth term was where the Barefoot Kids thing came into place, and we had to create our own little businesses. So each student, by that stage, we'd worked through the book, and they had come up with some various business ideas, and they created business cards and posters. And we were really lucky that we were then able to set up a market stall at the Tenterfield Railway Museum when they had their market day. And so it then all evolved from there. So we started off with our fundraising, and one of the parents was very supportive. She has a health food shop where she also sells Who Gives a Crap toilet paper. So we had a lot of fun selling Who Gives a Crap toilet paper and a lot of Who Gives a Crap jokes. And that gave us some money to be able to go on an excursion to Sydney to play bocce. 10-pin bowling, actually, to play 10-pin bowling for the school. And then we also started different fundraising things, collecting the bottles around school and recycling the bottles, which now everyone on the school knows that there's these tubs, and in those tubs, all the plastic bottles go. And on a Friday, somebody takes them down and recycles them. And we've raised enough funds to be able to do morning teas and go away to sports excursions, or just, it's sort of like a bit of a slush fund for us to be able to fund different events that we can get involved in, or resources like paint or something like that. Then in term 2, when we started doing the community work, the Lions Club and the Rotary Club, they work really closely with our school. And the Lions Club was involved with Seniors Week and asked if we would like to attend an exhibition, a photo exhibition. And then there was a lunch, and following the bushfires, there was also a lunch put on for community as well. So we were involved with helping to barbecue and serve the lunch and just volunteer with whatever we could to help. And then when we came to the work experience, I'd had one of my bright ideas that I thought, we could do a photo exhibition too, like they did for Seniors Week. And some of the students were doing photography. A couple of students in particular were really interested in photography, and one student, he has a great eye for a photo. And so we wandered around town and took photos, and we found ourselves wandering to the far end of town to where the Tenfield Railway Museum is. And we wandered in, and we were just welcomed with open arms. They were so lovely and supportive. So we went around and took some photos and did our sightseeing, but we got talking to the volunteers who worked there, and the Secretary Lois and President Frank. And before we knew it, we were up there volunteering every Wednesday morning. And the kids were given a project to do of doing up a trike. We got involved with, that they do a morning tea where all of the volunteers, when the whistle blows, you turn up and have a cup of tea. So it was a really good social interaction as well. And we've done some gardening, we've done some cleaning. One of the students in particular does the meet and greet of when the tourists come, and she welcomes them and puts together the little tourist packs for them. And everybody has a role, everybody has something to do. There's a couple of boys now who work with some of the volunteers who are doing up a dog box. So they're getting their carpentry skills and painting skills and social skills all at the same time. So yeah, it's really good.
I love this too, because they're also getting a concept of what work looks like. And, if you've just been in school and maybe home, actually getting an idea, which is what that original email I sent you, that Yen says volunteering is the road in. But isn't it interesting? You turned up, you met some volunteers, you built that. And that's what Yen would say, often through volunteering comes a potential job. And I'm hearing so many skills that they're getting through that and can put on their CV. Otherwise, they just would have been to school. But all these, from the crap toilet paper to the, doing all these things. And was there any businesses that they created that you were like, wow? Was there?
So they've done really well. So they all did a Zero to Hero resume. And they could put those different skills that they were now using onto their resume. And then we read through the book and looked at all the different ideas, and we're like, bottle recycling, tick. And then we thought, okay, what else can we do? So I decided to leave it up to each of the students to come up with something. So the student who has a good eye for photography, he took photos. He's also very good at music. I tried to get him to busk, but that wasn't his thing. And another student, he was really good with art, and he made some little postcards, but he also was very good with origami. So could make some Christmas decorations and things with origami and teach people to fold. Very profitable business was one of the mocktails. And so one of the students, she made mocktails. We had some boomerang glasses, we called them. So she did quite well with those, and it's become a hit now. So when we do the Christmas lunch with the Tenterfield Railway Museum, which we do each year, she provides the mocktail, and she did quite well with that business. And what else did we had? We had fudge, we had some key rings, and then this year we've had. Actually, that's going to be last year. Last
Yeah.
year we have had the one of our students is a very talented artist, and she creates these beautiful artworks with bright coloured flowers and these gorgeous little whimsical animals. And she has now started up her little art business. So she sells magnets and cards and beautiful framed artwork. She entered in the Let's Hang It competition in New England. I think the University of New England runs it. And she was a finalist in that. Now she's got a little bit of a following. We sort of go, okay, what can we get for Christmas?
Yeah.
Present, what artwork have you got? And so from that, also from her little business, we were inspired to do a pop-up gallery because we thought, well, the students in photography had amassed quite a portfolio of photos, and she had a great portfolio of artwork. And so I thought, well, we've got enough stuff here to do a pop-up gallery. And again, we linked with community in the Angry Bulls Trails, which is a trail bike enterprise, I guess. And they're very community minded, and they have a hub that they're starting to get everything running with. And so I asked them if we could borrow their hub to do this pop-up gallery, and they commonly let us use that. And we set up a pop-up gallery. We thought, right, we'll do it like a gallery opening. So we did the Thursday evening, come and view the artwork. We had our grazing platter, and people could come in if it had a sticker on that was NFS. It wasn't for sale. If it didn't have a sticker on, it might have had a price. And so each of the students sold something. There was some woodwork there. One of the girls makes earrings, and we had some students from other classes that were quite creative as well that got involved with it.
This is fantastic.
Yeah,
so you had no off switch. I mean, this is in 1 year, all these things you've done. It's just amazing. I'm just like going, oh my goodness. And I know this will inspire people what's possible. So if anyone doesn't know about Scott Page's Barefoot Investor, just in case, he has one which I gave to my teenage kids when they finished school, that like the adult one, and then he brought out the kids one. And it's just great scaffolding and so well done. And I love that you sort of use that as the curriculum too. I can just see how that's so good.
Yeah, it's a great book, and I think the Barefoot for Kids really suited the students in my class because it's a bit like 13-Story Treehouse. It's got the funny sounds and funky pictures in it, and then it's got the incentive with some stickers that you can take the sticker and put it on when you've achieved each thing. It was good as a literacy exercise, not just financial literacy, but as a reading exercise as well, because the students, the ones that were coming along with their reading, they were able to read parts of it, and the ones that were a bit more advanced with their reading, they could have turns in reading, so they didn't just have to listen to my voice, which I enjoyed that. It was just, and it was inspiring, I think, because they could see that there were other kids who were coming up with different business ideas, and they may be short-term business ideas, but it gave them an idea of money, helped with the financial literacy, really social skills, because they put themselves out. Oh, I forgot about one business. It was awesome. One of my students, it's called Pawsome Treats. He set up a dog treat business, selling dog biscuits, and that he looked up and researched his recipe. So it was a natural recipe. He created business cards, and he decided to do them as magnets because they could go on the fridge. And it did his flyers, did an order sheet. And so, he set up a great little business. So they were all inspired by different other kids in the Barefoot Kids book. And I know we shopped from one because in the book we came across a young man who'd has dyslexia, and he created his own business because a teacher had given him a reading ruler. And so he now sells reading rulers. And I'd read that and thought, oh, this is pretty cool. So I looked up his shop, which is my dyslexia shop, and we ordered a case full of reading rulers that the kids use in class. And so they could see that, these businesses, if they come up with the right ideas, there could be something out of it. And if they didn't, if it was a short-term business, they still enjoyed, having that experience.
Yeah, well, one of my themes for this year has been The Gap and the Gain, which is a book I read. It's a business book, but it's about, even though you mightn't sell anything, or even though and with my young adults, myself as a parent, you might get a job that's not the perfect job, but there's a gain in just getting your foot in the door. We tend to focus on the gap instead of what's the gain. Like all of your students, they've got social skills, they've become aware what work looks like. I mean, as Jan Perkins says, like often our young people just see us go out the door. They have no idea what work looks like. You've opened their eyes to volunteering. So even if they were nervous about it or didn't like it, there's still a massive gain in just showing up. And I absolutely love that. And I know some people will be listening going, oh, you're in Tenterfield, country town, and I must say I visited the school at the end of 2024 and saw Zoe's amazing school and community and country town. But this is possible anywhere. I live in a suburb in Sydney that is so community orientated. Not growing up in Sydney, I would never have expected that. But I get, I look at I was just looking at our community news, and at the moment you can do volunteering in guides, you can do volunteering in our community garden, in our environmental stuff, in our recycling. We have kids that pick up all the cans every week. Like you can do it in a big city. Just look at your little community and see what you can do.
Yeah. I think one of the things that made me realize just how rewarding it was that a couple of the students had said to me, we were in town and some people had greeted them and said, oh, hi, how you going? And used their names. And they're like, everybody knows us. And I said, well, that's because this is our involvement with the Railway Museum. And because we did our first market up there, and the first market was fun. Everyone was involved in that one. Over time, it sort of, panned out to where there's, one or two students that go. But this first one, it was good. No one knew what to expect. We had a stall in the middle of the whole thing. They all had produce out. They had people come and buy off the other volunteers from the railway, all recognised them, had chats with them, used their names. And so for that, it's, for me, you could see that they were accepted. And I think that acceptance is a huge thing over and above inclusion.
I agree.
I think sometimes inclusion can be to the point of exclusion, whereas acceptance, I think, is such a huge thing. And, to be recognised and acknowledged where people say, going and actually genuinely engage with you is really lovely.
It's so important. And even the fact your students said, how come they know our names, is often why many of our students do feel invisible in schools. And although we might have an inclusion policy, the first stage of social engagement is saying hello and knowing someone's name. And you can't underestimate that. And it also shows that the students notice. They notice these things.
It's a very powerful thing. And it was also a good thing in terms of the students getting to be able to know and use other people's names as well. I think in school quite often, it's Miss, Sir, and everybody's Miss, everybody's Sir. And so when they have to use names and use them in greeting, and use them in thank yous, or to even be able to go up and request something, then, it's, and that recognition of, well, who is Frank? So, you give a description of who that person is, they okay. And then they can follow on with the next, request or whatever social thing they need to do. Yeah.
I must tell people listening though, having tried to say no to go with Zoe's school, what I've learned with Zoe She's the queen of workarounds because I'm like, how do I get from Sydney to Tenterfield and do a workshop? And I can tell you, Zoe is the most amazing person at going, okay, we can do this, we can do that. Next thing I know, I'm on a plane, I'm driving to Tenterfield, and it was fantastic and it was beautiful. And I got to meet your beautiful students and taste the mocktails. So it's so good. But I think it's a real credit to you and your tenacity. And this summer series of podcasts that I'm doing that's celebrating insights and inspiration. And you're an absolute inspiration, Zoe, all you're doing for your kids and community. So congratulations.
Thank you. I have to say, I come up with all these ideas and then everyone sort of goes, oh, here she goes. She's got an idea again. And, really without, I know you call them angels, without, our SLSOs in class. And for me this year, this last year has been, Amaret has been like my right-hand person with it. But in that, there are so many in our faculty that we all work together, the teachers and the SLSOs. And it really is, it makes the difference, the team that you work with. It makes big difference to the support that you get from exec. It really is a huge thing to be able to know that if you say, oh, hey, I've got this idea. I don't know if it's good or not, but can I give it a go? That there is some support with that. And then to have a team that you work with who see you running around with this crazy idea and go, what do you like us to do to help? That makes a huge difference. And then the students, the students, some of them come into the class going, okay, what's this class going to be like? Because it's different from primary school. And we sort of, pick them up and drag them along. Oh, okay, we're going around town. We're heading off to the Railway Museum. Oh, no, we've got a pop-up gallery. So it sort of bounces from one to the other. And, they seem to take it in their stride. And we give them that time to be able to know that there is a change coming along, or there's something that we're going to look forward to. But I think it has also increased their flexibility and their understanding that things can change a little bit. It's raining, so we can't go up there today. And those sorts of things also add to it.
Yeah, but there's a few things to unpack there. First, I always say teachers can't support students unless they feel supported. And I think having met your exec team and also seen your ability to say, I've got Sulaki coming and your boss getting on board, I think is pretty impressive. And then I think what you were saying about that community, it takes a community to raise a neurodiverse child. And I love the fact you're now building that bridge between the school and community for post-school, because I know a few years ago I had families email me going, my 18-year-olds, since they finished school, are just sitting in their bedroom. They don't know what to do because they hadn't been given that bridge and skills. So even your young people walking down the street and people recognizing them, they feel connected. I just think that's such an important bridge to build in for our young people once they're leaving school. And most families would say, it is very hard to know what to do. So I really think that is amazing. And hopefully you've inspired lots of people by listening to this, what is possible. But I do agree, you're very lucky. I met your angels and I saw even setting up the hall, how everyone just pitches in. But I'm sure there's lots of people listening who have schools who have the capacity to take something on like this and be inspired. Even if it's not in 2025, they can get ready to do it in 2026, because or even if they just take on collecting the bottles. I mean, that just something, because I just think you've offered so many ideas and things that people could do. And I always love what is possible. So thank you for sharing all of that with us.
That is, you're more than welcome.
Thanks so much.
Yes. Thank you.
Well, I hope you've got some inspiration about some amazing ways that you can make learning so fascinating for our young people. Now, if you don't know my photo cookbooks, they are a step-by-step how to use cooking to teach not only life skills, but everything from maths to science to health and safety and food tech, whatever. Make sure you check out my photo cookbooks. There's Cookbook 1 and Cookbook 2, plus a manual that includes like all the ways that you can teach every subject through cooking. Most of the recipes only require an electric fry pan because when I originally made them, that was really all I had. So they are recipes that I used when I was in a specialist school, but they have been used by so many people over the years. And I'm sure that whether you're at home or school, they are a great way to learn procedures, learn those life skills, and make learning fun, which I think is what we really got from this podcast about making learning fun and functional. I also wanted to say that the volunteering aspect of what Zoe talked about, Yen Perkis has been on my podcast a few times before and talked about the wonderful world of work and the importance of volunteering in that first step to employment. So I'll link to that podcast episode too and her wonderful book as well. Sorry, Yen Perkis was previously known as Jeanette. So her book is under her name. They haven't changed that yet. So I know there's sometimes some confusion. So when you go to the blog page, and make sure you go there and check out all my resources, you'll see the wonderful world of work is still under Jeanette Perkis, but now they are called Yen Perkis. So I hope I've clarified that for you. Have a fabulous term. Look forward to seeing you soon. Don't forget to jump on the website and see if I'm coming near you and we'll get to see each other face to face or Zoom or online if you prefer online learning, or book in a PD in your school. With this one, I did it across a morning and an afternoon because it was a regional and I had to get there. But some schools I do the PD over 2 afternoons. Like last year, I did one in term 1 and then in term 2, so staff could put things in place and we could follow up. There's lots of different ways for me to support you in your schools.